Hi, it's so good to see you. Happy Wednesday, wherever you are in the world. A big hi to Giacomo and Giselle and Michael and Shelby and Vidya and everyone else who's decided to pull up a seat and join us in this, what I like to think is a really fun and more importantly, useful mini workshop. You might have seen my slight rant earlier this week on LinkedIn where I said nothing makes me more crazy bananas than when you hear a case of the shoulds, but not a case of the hows. So people will tell you things like you should work out, or you should post on LinkedIn, or you should create content. But then they don't give you any of the how. How should we start working out? How do we get healthier? How do we start posting? How do we create a content schedule? So it's a lot of advice and not a lot of like, well, how do we actually implement that advice? So that's why I was like, okay, this workshop, forget the shoulds. We are going to dig in directly to the hows. And big hi to Jeff. It's so good to see you. Anybody now sees this lovely orange vase behind me? That is courtesy of Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, who's making sure that our Coffee with Kim set just looks magnifique. So if you haven't already, say hi in the chat. You will not only be getting value in this mini workshop from me and all of the slides that I've prepared, but you will be getting a lot of tips and tactics and tricks from the live chat. So if you're listening on the replay, don't forget to also check out the chat because there's going to be lots of tips and tricks that you are also providing. Because if you know something that works, don't keep it to yourself. That's not very nice. Share with the rest of the group because we're a nice bunch and we really like sharing. So let's hop straight into it. I know you're busy. I know you have a full day today. So let's dive in and make sure we are packing the most into our time together. First and foremost, okay, let's get away with the agenda. You know I love me a good agenda. So meet Kim. Boom, we've already done that. Moving right along. We are going to cover when it comes to posting content, what exactly are you posting? How are you finding your niche of what to post? We are going to talk about creating a schedule. Don't worry, I have provided both sort of advanced and not advanced versions of what that can look like because I hate when you join, again, these workshops and people just give you all these advanced tactics. It's sort of, sometimes I'm not on the varsity team. Sometimes I'm on the junior varsity team, and that's a totally okay place to be at. But I feel like sometimes workshops are only talking to the varsity players, or sometimes workshops are only talking to the junior varsity players. I want you to know with all of these slides and all these options, I've included both sort of varsity level and junior varsity level. So you can kind of pick where you are on that. We're going to talk about copying homework and why I encourage it and think it is a great thing for you to do. We're going to talk about two major no-nos that I see all the time that I'm just like, oh, no, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Please don't do it. And we're also going to get into some sort of lazy ways to create content and engage because if you are like me, listen, there are just some weeks out there where we are too dang busy. We got too much going on. The dog puked. The kids are sick. Your boss is driving you nuts. We don't have time. And so I also want to provide a plan during those weeks because it's not all sunshine and rainbows and we get busy and things happen. So we also have to make room for life, for a little bit of life. I'm curious, and by the way, there's no right or wrong answer to this, but do you post on LinkedIn? Like, do you ever post on LinkedIn? Is that something that you do? Or are you just more like Kim? I kind of come on here. I find some good advice. I find some good tips and tricks. I join workshops like this. I listen to some LinkedIn learnings. I see status updates of friends and family that got new jobs or got a promotion. And that's pretty much it. I don't have time to post on LinkedIn. No right or wrong answer. I'm just curious. So again, I can kind of get a vibe of the group of where we are and who's posting, kind of what that scale is of posting to not posting. So Shelly is posting every day. Okay, Shelly's on the varsity team, but don't worry if you're not a Shelly. Don't worry if you're like, oh no, I am not a Shelly, go girl, but that's not me. You might just be more of a Lisa that you're posting, but it might not be every day. So, or you might be more of a Brian where you're posting a little bit of everything. You're posting regular posts, you're writing articles, you're writing newsletters. Or listen, you might be like Ryan, who's like, I'm on here, I'm excited to learn, but right now I'm just not posting on LinkedIn. Or you might just be posting once a week like Megan is. There's no right or wrong answer. Or I actually like Dev's answer too, which is I repost content. Also a tricky little trick there where you might not be creating your own content, but you are reposting content that you think is interesting or exciting or you want to share with other people. So these are all great answers. And I want to touch on every single one today. And again, I will say it loud and clear for those in the back that didn't hear. This mini workshop will be filled with things that will help Angela, who's saying, I don't post on LinkedIn because I'm not sure what to post. And it will be for James, who says, I'm posting almost daily. I have a full buffet. We got a little bit of everything. But before we start, I want to kind of take a step back and really get the landscape of why are we even having a mini workshop on this? Why is this even important? Why are we even doing it? Because if anybody has read the Simon Sinek book, Start With Why, it's a good place to start. Because a lot of times if you're just going through the motion, but you don't know the bigger why, again, you might wake up one day and say, why am I doing this? Why am I creating more work for myself? So there are 950 million global members on LinkedIn. So quite a few people are showing up to linkedin.com, logging in, seeing what's up every single day. And again, that's globally. So no matter where you are in the world, just know that you have 950 million friends that are joining with you, signing in to engage with others every single day. And I think that's an exciting perspective because when I first saw this next stat, I was blown away, which is out of that 950 million members, only 3 million of those humans are sharing content. So only 3 million out of 950 million. So for any of our math nerds out there, AKA myself, if you actually do that math, that means only 0.31% of people are sharing content. Why does that matter? Why is that important? That means that 99.7 people are what I lovingly refer to as lurkers. That means you're coming on, you're kind of lurking on other people. You're kind of looking over the fence going, what's he doing? What's she doing? What's going on? But you're not posting. You're not posting. So if you are already posting, congrats. You are part of the 0.3% that are actually posting on this platform, which when you think about it, if I told you that, hey, there's a raffle going on or a lotto, and I said 99.7% of people at the party are not going to buy into the raffle, or 99.7% of people at the party are not going to buy a lotto ticket, would you buy a lotto ticket? And the answer to that should be, yeah, because then I have a good chance of winning if 99+% of people are not going to sign up. And so that is why when we talk about why is it important to post content, why do we think that it even matters? This is why. Because just know that when I say, oh, your voice, it's going to be heard, it's not just me saying like, rah, rah, yes, your voice is going to be heard. It's statistical inevitability. It is like you are part of the team 0.3%, as Leon says. You will be heard because statistically you must be. There's no one else out there that's posting. So it's amazing And it really provides a lot of availability for you to get your voice heard. So let's dive in. First off, if you are going to start posting content on LinkedIn, before you post anything, before you even do one brilliant post, turn on creator mode. If you don't already have that on, congrats, you're on the varsity team. You already have it set up. Check mark, good for you. If you don't have this feature turned on, it's totally free. It's my favorite price, free $99. It costs nothing. And it helps you attract views, which is what we want. So if you need a step-by-step instruction on how to turn this feature on, I made one for you. I know, I love you. I made one for you. You can go to turnoncreatormode.com and it's about a 10-minute video where I walk you through step-by-step exactly how to turn it on. So you can't say like, well, I was going to turn it on, but I don't know how. I already solved that. I already showed you how. I made a 10-minute video on it. So I got you. That can't be your excuse. So turnoncreatormode.com. If you don't have it turned on, write a little note. It takes 10 minutes. Again, it's super basic. I walk you through. It's free. I don't know why people don't have this turned on. It befuddles me. Okay. So number one, we're putting that on. Yes. Number two, it's really important for us to figure out what is going to be your niche on LinkedIn. What are you going to post about? What are you going to talk about? This is one of the things that trips people up the most because they say, yes, Kim, I love this idea. I want to start posting. Okay, here I go. I have a positive attitude. Here we are. But where do I start? What am I doing? What do I post about? Do I post about my work? Do I post about my job? Do I post about the things I've learned? Do I post about what book I'm reading this month? What are we doing? This is the sort of secret formula that when I have friends or family or I'm at a networking event and somebody raises this question, I'm like, so glad you asked. This is my matrix for what you should be creating content about. It is the combination of three things. What you like to talk about, that's number one. You can see that at the top of this circle. The second one is what you're actually good at. So that's number two. And the third thing is what could you talk about for hours? Like what could you just be like, man, you asked me one question and 20 minutes later, I'm still talking about sales funnels. What's something that just gets you going once somebody starts asking about it? Whatever the combination of those three things are, that's what you should be talking about. I think this matrix is important for a lot of reasons. The main one being, I think the advice that a lot of people get is, you know what, Arson, you work in sales. Therefore, you should talk about sales because you work in sales. And again, going back to our matrix here, Arson might say, well, I'm good at sales. So yeah. And, I like talking about sales. I maybe don't love it. And I definitely couldn't talk about it for hours because again, it's more of a like and not a love. But when you go one step further and you're like, well, it might not be sales, but wow, the tech used in a sales funnel, things like HubSpot, things like Asana, then all of a sudden Arson's like, roll up the sleeves. Like, let's talk about HubSpot and why it's so great and how their sales funnels are amazing and how it helps me categorize clients and how it helps me follow up with them and how it helps me track. Now, all of a sudden, we have found the little spot that intersects with all three of those things. So to me, it's important that you find all three parts of this matrix, not just one or two, because you'll miss the inspiration. You'll miss out on what really is going to get you excited and get you amped up about this particular subject or thing. So we're going to find out what that is. So you're going to kind of we're not going to do this mental work now. You're going to do this later because it requires you to do some thinking. You got to put your thinking cap on. I will also say, if you want to kind of dig deeper into this matrix, again, this is a mini workshop and it's mini for a reason. We're moving and shaking. I have an entire nano course on this. It's about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes long. It's pretty short. And you can search for it on LinkedIn Learning by looking at sharing your expertise online. We'll also put the link in the chat, but sharing your expertise online, we kind of go into this a little bit more. So again, I don't want anybody to think like, well, I don't have time to do this. You can kind of do that on your own later. So that's step number one. Figure out what's in the middle of that circle. And again, here's where I also see people kind of peter out, if you will. They get all excited because they're like, all right, using this example, I'm Arson. I'm going to talk about these sales funnels because they really I know a lot about them and I love talking about them and I kind of nerd out on them. And then it's kind of like going to the gym, right? On our New Year's resolutions, like January starts out great. We're going to the gym and all of a sudden February comes, we're going to the gym a little less. And all of a sudden March comes and we're not going to the gym at all. And all of a sudden our New Year's resolution of going to the gym has gone to poop. So I always say knowing what you're going to talk about is just kind of step one and being excited about it. We also have to make time for that or else we will run out of steam. Our little engine it will run out of steam. So this is how I like to do this. This is how I found that it makes the most sense for people that I have either worked with or I'm talking to. And that is creating a realistic schedule. A realistic schedule. Notice that I didn't say create a schedule. Again, I feel like a lot of the should posts and not the how posts, the should posts are like, you should create a content calendar. And again, I'm always like, but how? What does that look like? And the reason I say realistic is because, again, a lot of the shoulds, we got a case of the shoulds, well, you should post every day or you should post once a week. I don't know if that works for you. I don't know what busy season you're in. I don't know if this is your craziest time of work or if this is your slow season. I have no idea. And so what I think makes the most sense and why I say realistic content calendar is because you have to be honest with yourself and really look at whether you look at it by quarters or look at it by the month and say, okay, we're almost to the end of October. Let's look at November. What is actually going to be realistic for me? Is it realistic to post 3 times a week? I don't know. Maybe you're really slow at work. Maybe that's actually totally realistic for you. Or maybe you're like, okay, November, we got some holidays in there. I got some travel once a week. That's probably what's going to work for me. Or again, you look at November and you're saying to yourself, my November is bananas. Oh my gosh, I have holidays and travel and work assignments and things for my coworkers and my kids and my spouse. Maybe November's crazy. And in which case, maybe that's once a month. Maybe it's only one time in November. I don't know because I'm not you. And so again, you're not going to get a case of the shoulds here, which is you should post once a week or you should post once a month. I don't know. I think it's more manageable when you create a realistic schedule for yourself and what that looks like. Oh, I want to answer some of these questions that we're getting. I forgot to say that at the beginning. If you have questions, interrupt and write them in the chat so I can cover them as we go. Arson was asking about posting from your own LinkedIn versus posting from a company page. This is my personal opinion. Don't shoot the messenger. But I will also say I have seen a lot on LinkedIn. I post a lot on LinkedIn. I know a lot of people who post on LinkedIn. And from what I have seen, posting on company pages is garbage. I know you didn't want to hear that and I didn't want to say it, but it's a little garbage. And what I mean by that is posting on company pages has become a pay to play. similar to what you see on Facebook and similar to what you see on Instagram. And what I mean by that is you can post on Facebook and you can boost the post by giving Mark Zuckerberg $5, $10, $20, $100, $100,000, and your post will be seen by more people. Same thing on Instagram. You can post from an Instagram and you can boost the Instagram post. And what do you know? Your Instagram post can be seen by 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people. But you gotta pay because the Zuck likes the bucks. On LinkedIn, little different. Microsoft, thank you, for now has said, listen, if you post from your personal LinkedIn page, there's no boosting. So even if you have all the money in the world, you cannot pay to play and pay us to show your content to more people. On LinkedIn, it's a democracy. Everybody's equal. Everybody gets their own vote. There's no pay to play. On a company page on LinkedIn, we're sort of in the Zuck mindset. You can post on a company page and you can pay for your post to be seen by more people. So what I always say is I don't like paying for things. I like free things. I've always liked free things. My slogan in life is if it's free, it's for me. That's how I live my life. What can I say? So I don't like paying for stuff. I always say if you have extra time and extra money, and if that is you, I want to be your friend because I definitely don't have extra time and I definitely don't have extra money. So if you have extra time and extra money, by all means, post from your company LinkedIn, go crazy. But for most of us, we're short on time and we don't exactly want to give Microsoft more money. So I would say don't bother posting on your company page. I mean, you could always repost things, etc. But I always say just don't. If you have an hour to give me each week to post content, I don't want you spending 30 minutes on your personal and 30 minutes on your company. You know, I'd rather you spend 55 minutes on your personal and 5 minutes on your company. So again, great question. Take with that what you will. So, okay, revisiting. You're going to create an honest schedule for yourself. This is important. And then you are going to organize yourself. And remember how I talked about I was going to give advice for sort of the JV, but also the varsity. So we're going to start with the JV. So if you are like Kim, I don't post a lot on LinkedIn. I kind of came to this workshop starting at 0. This is for you. Put your listening ears on. This is for you. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to literally go on LinkedIn. You can just go on LinkedIn and they have a scheduling tool built into LinkedIn now. It's very easy. You literally go to linkedin.com. You go to linkedin.com. You act like you are going to post something. And the image that you can see where I said, this is how you schedule a post. You will see that by the blue post button, there is a little, it looks like a clock, looks like a little clock. And if you put your mouse over it, it says schedule for later. If you click that button, you will see the next window that pops up. You can actually schedule that post. So again, if you say to yourself, okay, my November, I'm going to post once a week in November, and I want to, create all the posts now, or I want to create a post on a Sunday afternoon while I'm just hanging out, but I want it to post on Tuesday or Wednesday once it's the work day. You can just use LinkedIn. No big deal. Shelly, I discovered the scheduling tool and it made all the difference. Boom. So there you go. Low lift. You're already on LinkedIn.com anyway. You press the clock. You're good to go. Now, there might be some of you joining that are, again, you're a little more varsity. You want the bells and whistles. You want to do 100 push-ups. You don't want to do 10 push-ups. Now, if you're one of those people that you're on the junior varsity team, just like close your eyes on this next slide. Don't pay attention. If you want to get all fancy with it, There are several tools that I've used, that my team uses, that we really like when it comes to planning content, organizing content, etc. Dropbox, Notion, Google Drive, Asana. All really great tools. My personal favorites that I use the most are Notion and Dropbox. If you're starting to organize video posts and carousels and slideshows, that's a really great place when we want to just be a little more organized when it comes to our content calendar. So again, no big deal if you're like, I'm just going to use LinkedIn for now. Great. We love that. It's also important that we actually make time to do it. So for me, if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. I literally think I have call mom in my calendar, because if I don't have call mom, I will forget to call my mom for like a week. So I live and die by my calendar. You might be like this too. It's also really important if you want to create content during the workday and you don't want people to schedule meetings with you, or you don't want your assistant to book telephone calls, just block out. Maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's an hour. Just block out some time for yourself. And maybe it's weekly, so it's a reoccurring block on your calendar. Maybe it's monthly. Maybe it's only, once every other week. Choose your own adventure on that, but actually block out the time. I think that that's really going to be important. And what you're going to do when you block out that time is also really important, because that's when you're actually going to start creating the content. And I love this question about kind of engaging AI in this content writing process. There is an amazing LinkedIn live that we did with Dave Burris. So again, we'll throw that link in the chat. I would highly encourage anybody who is, what I like to say, AI curious, like you're kind of like, I'd like to dabble in that a little bit. Like, what could that look like? I would encourage you to check out that LinkedIn Live or one of Dave's nano courses, because they're super interesting. But I'm just going to give you my opinion. Don't shoot the messenger here. I'm a little more old school, and I think that AI is great for sparking an idea. I do think that human posts and human stories just hit a little harder and capture a little bit more, because the AI is very general, and it kind of reads like like very there's no personality behind it. It's just kind of like dry, sort of like a prescription. Whereas when I see a post that's from Danielle, and it's about this amazing book she just read and her biggest takeaway from it, I'm more like, oh, that's interesting to me. Like, Danielle has really captured one of her biggest takeaways from the book. Whereas I don't think that AI personally has that same je ne sais quoi, if you will, about it. So again, that's just me. But to Mauricio's point of, really writing something relevant and making sure it's well written, yes, I think the AI can absolutely help you kind of make that more succinct or really clean it up. And so we're going to go over that a little bit more. I also think you can copy people. So let's maybe table that for a hot second until we get to that. In fact, let's just go over it right now. Let's be honest. Let's talk about why I think copying other people's homework is really important, to Mauricio's point, when it comes to how do I make sure it's well written? How do I make sure it's relevant? We're not here to reinvent the wheel. The wheel already exists. So there's already content out there that you want to emulate. Let's just start emulating it. Don't recreate the wheel. So for instance, if you said to me today, Kim, I really want to start creating newsletters. I want to start creating articles. I love long form content. I would say to you, I love that for you. That sounds great. Have you checked out Gemma? Have you checked out Tatiana? Have you checked out Selena? Because what I would say is, again, copy their homework. What are they doing that's already worked? What's the cadence in which they're publishing at? What are some common themes that they're going over? What does their structure look like? Again, copy other people's homework. I'm not saying that literally copy it word for word, but the style, the cadence, the visuals, all of that you can look at and get a lot of inspiration from. Same thing with video content. When people say, well, I want to start making videos on LinkedIn, I always say, great. I love that you want to make videos on LinkedIn. Have you looked at Madeline? Have you looked at Tiffany? Have you looked at Jessica? Because they're also creating a ton of videos on LinkedIn. So those are absolutely people that I think that you should check out, start following, and start seeing how they're doing it. How are they really getting in there and making the most of their time and delivering the most value? If you say, Kim, the thought of video is way too much, the thought of long-winded newsletters or articles, way too much. I just kind of want to get in there, be punchy, and just do some text posts. I say, great. Look no further. Justin Welsh. Check out what Justin Welsh is doing. See what he is, how he's structuring everything, what his cadence is, and really see, is there a way that I can emulate that? What can I do there? And then again, same thing when you see any of those images, whether they're texts or carousels or quotes. Two really great resources from this, Terry Rice and Cody Sanchez. Easy to find on LinkedIn, easy to go and look up their accounts and say, what are they doing? Or, spoiler alert, follow me because I do a little bit of everything. So, throwing that one out there. But go find people that are doing the type of content that you want to do and see what you can pick up, the tips and tricks and little things that you can pick up. I also think it's important that when you're thinking about this, to really get over any mental struggles, not only with what to post and how to find time to post it, but also to Ava's point of, well, what if people aren't going to like this? Or what if my employer gets upset about this? And to that I say, listen, at the end of the day, it is a social media platform. We have to be cognizant of what we are promoting, what we are discussing. I always say the best sort of litmus test that I give myself is, would I talk about this in a conference room with my boss and with clients? And if the answer to that is yes, then I post it. So to give you an example, if Ava walked into her job and, she's walking into a sales meeting, her boss is there, the sales team's there, everyone's kind of like, getting their pens and their papers together before the meeting starts. And someone says, hey, how's it going? Or, oh, how are the kids? What's new? And you said, oh, well, what's new? I actually read this really interesting book. It's called Genius Food. It's all about how different foods can affect your brain and how you can optimize around fast thinking and sleeping better. They might be like, oh, wow, Genius Foods. Okay, interesting book. Like, I'll have to maybe add that to my Audible list. That if that's passable, like you would say that in front of your boss and a group of clients, then yeah, you could post that same thing on LinkedIn. Hey, just finished a book. It's called Genius Foods. Here's the biggest takeaway, eat more kiwis or what. I don't know. The book didn't actually say that, but eat more kiwis or whatever it was. So that is sort of how I think about getting over that mental hump of, oh, like, should I even be posting this? What does this mean? Let's go over two really big red flags that I see constantly when people finally decide to post on LinkedIn. The first one being is, don't make it all about you. Think to yourself, can someone share this information with another human being at a dinner party and sound smart? That is going to be your best piece of advice and question. Can I share this information with somebody else and it will make them sound smart. So again, using that example I just gave about genius foods, let's pretend if you eat more kiwi, you sleep better. I'm making that up because that wasn't actually in the book, but you know what I mean. That person, whoever I told that to, my boss or a client in the meeting or whoever, later on that day, if they're at dinner with their significant other or they are out with friends, they could be like, actually, you'll never believe what I heard in the office today. Do you know that eating kiwis can make you sleep better? That is going to be your secret on posting with LinkedIn. You want to post something and have her go, oh, now that Kyle told me that, that's super interesting. Like, I'm going to be able to repeat that to other people and I'm going to sound smart. So Kyle just gave me information that's making me sound smart. That's what we want. We want you making other people sound smart, be smart, or say interesting, smart things. So that's the biggest thing. Don't make it all about you. Really think about the other person. How is what you're posting going to affect the other person? The next thing is, don't write the great American novel. So simplify, simplify, simplify. A great question that I always tell people is this easy to skim? So you know as well as I do that people are scrolling through social media. So they're scrolling. Where's my phone? Oh, here's my phone. We're scrolling, right? We're going through things. So when you're scrolling, we have to think about what is going to stop the scroll and really what is going to be really fast and easy for our brains to consume and what's going to be fun. So for instance, I always tell people, like, if you're on LinkedIn and it's like, oh, a sales tip, oh, another promotion, oh, someone got a new job, and then all of a sudden you see a post about Boy Scouts, you're kind of like, huh, what's a post about Boy Scouts doing here? And then as you read, you're like, oh, actually, James kind of tied in a learning lesson here. You know, James kind of tied in a great example of, teamwork, or a great example of mentoring, with this cover of this Boy Scout or Cub Scout story. So I always say, what's really going to stop the scroll? What is going to get people to engage with your content? And that you really have to think about simplifying as much as humanly possible. One of the great ways that you can simplify is by just literally spacing something out. So you will see in my post that I do this a lot. It's easier for people to read. It's easier for their brains to consume. And it's easier to read both on desktop and on mobile, which is, you got to think people are consuming things both ways. They're consuming on their computers and they're consuming on these crazy devices. Both ways. Now, this next strategy to me is probably the most important one because, again, it's the most realistic, which is, I know that you are a busy person. I know that it is not possible for you to post every single day or 3 times a week or even once a week if things are really busy. I know that. I know it's not possible. So I want to give you a strategy to use on those times when your week is just jam-packed and you absolutely do not have time to do any sort of posting on LinkedIn. This is what I call the lazy LinkedIn strategy. So when you are super tired, when you are burnt out, when you're like, there is no way that I can do this on my own, here's what I want you to do. I want you to I want you to comment, I want you to ask questions on other people's posts, and I want you to tag a friend on posts that you think that they will enjoy or learnings that you think that they will find relevant. So you don't have to create any content of your own. Everything that I just named, liking, commenting, etc., that requires no work from you. Like, that requires no content creation. Another way that you can easily create content, no stress, nothing big, is to go live. Exactly what we're doing here today. You get the setup software, it's only one take, and you can repurpose this. So for instance, this mini workshop will live on into eternity for people to enjoy for days, weeks, months, years to come. So easy way, go live, doesn't take a whole lot of your time. And also you create your own adventure. No one said you had to go live for 30 minutes. No one said that you had to go live for 45 minutes. And no one said you had to go live for an hour. You can go live for 10 minutes for all I care. So no rules, easy lift, you can do it. So again, step one, I really want you to get your profile under control. We got to turn on creator mode. If you need a little refresh, you can go to helpmylinkedin.com. I've power packed some tips in there for you to help you optimize and spruce up your LinkedIn profile, because now people are going to be going to it. So we got to make sure that that's good. I also, again, that's sort of like, so for all my JV team, for all my people who came to this mini workshop and they're like, oof, I am just getting started, start there. Turn on creatormode.com, helpmylinkedin.com. That's it. That's all you. If you started this workshop and you're like, I've done nothing, you start there. If you started this workshop like James, or, I'm already posting every day, I'm already posting once a week, okay. We've gotten to the next step, which is there are going to be times where you struggle with what to post. You're going to have times where you're not inspired. You're going to have times where you're like, oh, like this week has been really long, or this day or this month, like where do I start? So for my more advanced, you can go to whatdoipost.com, and I've put together 30 thought starters for you to piggyback off of, and examples of how to utilize those. So on days where you're feeling not creative, you're not in the mood, you're just like, not feeling it, you can go to whatdoipost.com, and there will be lots of tips waiting there for you. Also, Q&As. That's what the chat is for. Terry Rice, what did I miss? Well, you missed a lot of good stuff, Terry, but I love you. And there's always a replay, but you know a lot of this already because I just told people to follow you. So don't make me look bad, Terry. I just sent a bunch of people your way. You were on an earlier slide. So any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But those are kind of like, again, the JV, the varsity. I will also say, my homework to you leaving this mini workshop, I know you're like, oh, you just already gave me so much homework, turning on creator mode and getting these LinkedIn ideas. I know. But my homework for you leaving this mini workshop is to really block time on your calendar, really sit down and say, what is going to look realistic for Q4? Or maybe just November. What's going to look realistic for November? Is it posting one piece of content? Is it posting, 4 pieces of content, 1 per week? Really think about what is realistic for you. Get out your calendar, look at it, ask what you think you can manage, and then do that. Like, please do that, because that will make a world of difference. I will also say, inevitably, I get people who write to me after these mini workshops, and they're very upset because I keep giving out all these tips and links, and they're like, I never see your posts. I can't help that, guys. I don't control the LinkedIn algorithm. I wish I did. Life would be different. The only way that I know how to get content from me to you is if you click the blue follow button or you click that little alarm bell. Other than that, I got nothing. I actually do have something. I'm going to show you. I have a Harry Potter wand, but no matter what I do with this, I can't control the LinkedIn algorithm. It's the one thing that the Harry Potter wand doesn't work for. So the only way that you can continue to get content and tips and tricks and tactics is if you press the alarm bell. Other than that, I can't help. I can't get there. Jeremy is saying that Help My LinkedIn just flagged my workstation for Graywire. Unclear. We will look into that. I don't know why that is. Maybe try from your phone. Very strange. No idea. Kyle is asking, should I be focusing my posts on just business, what my field of work does, or should I branch out? Honestly, Kyle, I love a good branch out because I like to think of LinkedIn as, not to repeat myself, but as a cozy coffee shop. So Kyle, if you and I were getting coffee together, we would likely talk about work. Maybe there's something exciting at work. Maybe there's a new, something you learned or something that happened. Somebody got a promotion. You launched this new thing. Oh, you're using a sales funnel. You found a new thing that works. I love that. But we'd also probably talk about like other things, like maybe a book you're reading, maybe a podcast episode, a Tim Ferriss episode that you really liked and one of your big takeaways from that. We would talk about other things. So I always say, bring that to your LinkedIn. Now, don't go crazy. Don't be like, oh, I had a wedgie in my underwear the other day. And, it was so, we don't want to hear about your underwear. Like, we don't want to hear about wedgies. So, keep it somewhat, again, work related. Use that litmus test of, would I tell this to my boss or would I tell this to a group of clients? Because it's kind of a good test to think about. But, if not, you could obliviate people and make them forget that you ever talked about your underwear. But no, just don't even start with the underwear. You just don't even want to go there. Brian is asking, if I go back into an article or newsletter to make an edit or update, does that re-trigger the dissemination or can I keep it stealth? You can edit away without fear that it's going to update. So you can edit to your heart's content, Brian. I also think this is important because sometimes we like to update links. We like to update resources. So you can go back at any time and update all you want without fear that people are going to be like, Brian updated this again? Like, what is wrong with him? So fear not. Mauricio is asking, are you able to go live in a sort of interview, having two people in different locations in video at the same time? Mauricio, it must be your first time around these parts. And we love you for that and welcome. But we do that every single week here. It's just me in Austin, Texas today. But next week and the week after that and the week after that, I bring other interesting humans on here with me. And sadly, they are not in Austin, Texas. They are all over the world and they join me. Their little faces are right here. Oh, wait. It's like a split screen and their little faces right here. And we're chit-chatting back and forth with you. And I'm in Austin and they're in New York or they're in London or they're in California or wherever they are. And we all just sit around our virtual coffee table and we talk together. So go to getcoffeewithkim.com and sign up because you'll be able to see that in action. That'll be great. Last question, Giacomo is asking, do you think that content creation can also help to network? Absolutely. I am one of those sort of contrarian thinkers, I guess, that I actually think that social media can indeed make you more social. I know a lot of the dystopian kind of information out there is like, oh, social media is taking away from social ability and kids are like in the corner huddled over their phones. I actually think I have met personally some of the most amazing humans, not only from LinkedIn, but like Instagram, but especially LinkedIn, that I then go on and meet in real life. Like we met online. We met online on LinkedIn. We engage with each other's content, or I join their live, they join my live, whatever. And then we meet in real life. And it's brilliant and it's amazing. I mean, this group that comes here every week, great example of this. I feel like this is really plussed up my social sphere and social network. And it's from leveraging content, leveraging video on LinkedIn. So I absolutely agree with this. I think that it's huge and is such a valuable game changer when it comes to really digging deeper into your professional life. So this was so much fun. I know you are busy. You have 10 minutes left until the top of the hour, and I want to make sure that you can grab a drink of water, go to the restroom before you dive into the rest of your day. I wanted to thank you so much for being here and taking time. I hope this mini workshop was helpful for you. If you have ideas of other things that you're struggling with or need help on, message me, please. Like we're always kind of with our ear to the ground, listening what would be helpful topics for these mini workshops. And I would love to say that Shelby and I get all these ideas ourselves, but we get a lot of this thanks to you. It's from messages that you write in saying, hey, can you help, talk about content creation and what that looks like? Can you talk about resumes? Can you talk about job searching tips? What you need, I'm here for you. So please message me. Let us know what would be helpful. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you. Just know you can always go to getcoffeewithkim.com. You can sign up for notifications about us going live every single Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I look forward to seeing you very soon, hopefully next Wednesday. If you got nothing in the calendar, would love to have you come on back here and join us. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.